and welcome to Between Two Coaches. We're on a mission, and today I'm not sure we're really on a mission because we don't have an outline for this episode. On a mission to make fitness more human. The snark is definitely going to be included. It's not going to be sold separately today. I'm Coach Amanda, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host,
Coach Nick. Thank you so much for joining us. We are back. It's just the two of us of gal pals chatting, and we have a great episode. We're gonna basically talk about ourselves in an unhinged way. We're gonna share some race experiences. We're gonna get personal, as Amanda likes to say, and we're gonna. She did not say that at all. She's
lying.
Said,
yeah. He's lying.
She said the opposite of that.
I'm gonna fact check you.
But we're gonna have a great episode. We're just gonna chat, and this is gonna be a good catch-up episode. We have a lot of guests lately, and so it's back to us two friends, right? Yeah.
We're gonna, as the kids say, we're gonna raw dog this episode.
Oh, that is the word the kids say. I hate it, but
so gross.
They're still saying it for some reason.
They are. I wish they would just be cooked, for Christ's sake. I wish they would. I need to know.
Yeah.
You are doing. How was your weekend?
Oh my gosh, my weekend was wild. There's other stuff we'll talk about because there's a race in there. But we did some running. We're feeling like it's coming together. Feeling like I'm gonna be able to run a marathon in 3 weeks over in Indy.
Do you want to share?
Indy?
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Do you want to share? Yeah. Give us a little background.
Oh, no spoilers here. I'm running the Indianapolis, just Indy Monumental Marathon, and I'm doing that in 3 weeks over in the beautiful downtown Indianapolis.
Have you ever ran that race?
I did. I ran the half. It's a very flat course, and the day I did it, it had almost 50-mile-per-hour wind gust in your face for the last 5K. It was delightful. We were literally at some points, I was being blown backwards when I was running the other way, and that is never a great way to do a race. But it was fun, and that's why I'm back. So gonna run a marathon, and there was, signed up in August, ran almost no miles in August. September started getting it together. Did 21 miles last weekend.
You're different.
We'll talk about.
Nick. Like you're elite.
Well, I needed a long run to feel like I could finish a marathon, and now I feel like I could.
Okay, to be clear, everyone listening to this, that was not the only he didn't just run that one 21-mile run to be like, yeah, I'm ready. Nick, you are fit as fuck, my friend.
Oh, well, thanks. I'm not, so I'll caveat by saying I'm not really, this is my 9th marathon, so I am not by any means, I'm not a long distance guy. I don't love the long distances. I don't love the marathon. I'm a half guy. So I do feel like if I've had a few months where my mileage for the entire month was 60 miles or 80 miles, that there was a little doubt of it's 26.2 miles. It's not short distance. Could I run a half? I could do a half, not to sound
in my sleep.
I'm bragging. Not in my sleep, but I could do a half. Most of my long runs are 13 miles. So when I'm doing them, that's a long run distance for me. So I never would worry about, could I do a half, right? That's just, my mileage usually consists of that distance.
It's just who you are. It's just who you are. Yeah.
But we did that. We looked at a lovely house, and then found out immediately on Tuesday that we were, they didn't say it, but basically last place in the selection committee, and we are not getting said house. So the market's wild, and we're not wild enough, I guess. So we're back to
So running is a lot like life. We got the highs, and then life reminded you, gave you a little humbling. It's like, oh.
Yeah. But we did it. It was fun. How was your weekend?
I interacted with too many people. I did too many things. I'm actually stressed just thinking about it. So 4 score and 1 week ago, I ran a marathon.
No one knows that on here because you haven't announced it.
I know, because we had a podcast with two wonderful guests. We had Cindy
We
and
did.
Carrie on to close our Coaching the Whole Human series, which gave me a lot of joy because I didn't have to talk about my race. I didn't have to talk about anything related to me.
Yeah.
Which that's my least favorite topic right after. Also, I would not have been in a position mentally to speak kindly of the race. I'm not sure I am right now. But what I will say is that not only am I taking advantage of the physical recovery of the marathon, I am team 10 to 14 business days of recovery
Yeah.
post running, and I'm enjoying that. I still have not ran, and I love it. My body's saying thank you. I really did not enjoy the race experience itself. I enjoyed the weekend. I enjoyed my training. Damn, I enjoyed my training. I had such a great training cycle.
Yeah.
And as my dear friend Nick reminded me, a big part of my personal racing experience is that I get to spend my races with my dad. I do that intentionally. And that's what I got to do. So he scooped me up Friday morning. We took a little Friday morning, as in the Friday before the marathon, and we took a little drive to Scranton, Pennsylvania. And we had ourselves a weekend
Oh,
where,
that's fun.
yeah, we got to spend some time outside. My dad's favorite thing is one of his favorite things to do is to drive around small towns, and he knows everything, every little thing about almost every place in America. My dad is before I was born, my dad was a history teacher, and he's just obsessed with learning random things. He knows everything about New York State, everything about New York City, everything about its infrastructure, everything about its government. My dad is he's that guy who knows everything about so many random things that we would be driving and he'd be like, oh yeah, so that's that jail over there, they actually used to make them they look like that because a lot of jails during that time looks like castles. And I'm like, what does he talk like, how does he know
We need him on our trivia team.
he is
That's the kind of guy you bring to trivia night
he
and you
is
win
he,
by like 100 points.
he is so it's just fun to not talk about running with somebody because you haven't met a guy who doesn't give a bigger fuck about running. He doesn't care about running. He is he's the guy who you do want to go on the trip with, though. And similar to me, we're both very independent, and so we don't like when I go on my solo trip, he's really the only one who understands. I try to go away at least one time a year by myself. He gets it because he does the same thing. He just goes somewhere and you don't really know until he's on the way. And
It's good to
yeah,
have someone like that with you at races. Like I
yes,
do, like I've had many friends over the years that are a calming presence at races.
yes,
Like if I get to the start line and I'm a little anxious and I'm doing my little jumps or nervous energy everywhere, it's nice to have someone who, like, when you're going to the race or race morning, it's just calming. They're just talking to you about whatever. They know what you are anxious
yes,
about or what's going on. So they're not like, oh, how are you feeling about this race that's about to happen in 30 minutes? Like knowing that would probably make you more anxious.
right,
They're just like, oh, well, look, this random stuff over here, or these other
yeah,
things, or let's talk about nothing. And like that, everyone needs that calming person, and
yes.
every person's different. So don't take Amanda's, but
My dad is not available, and
pre-race friend, he's not available.
yes, and the thing that I need to hear the most for a race is, and it's not going to be the same for, I guess, most people, or my dad just like, he doesn't even look at me when he says it. He's like, you're fine. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You're fine. And I leave it alone because I
Yeah.
trust when he says that, like he knows. So let me rewind to before Friday when he picked me up. So it was Tuesday night after the podcast. I had a bit of a spiral with my friend Coach Nick. And I feel comfortable sharing this because I've already written it on Instagram. So had I not, I would not. So I am somebody who, I have asthma, but it doesn't really impact my day-to-day life or my exercise. I was diagnosed when I was a kid, and I can't tell you the last time I used my inhaler. I have a nebulizer at home, etc. I had finished a podcast with Coach Nick, and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm not okay." And he's like, "Yeah, I could tell you're not okay." And that night, I really could not breathe well, to the point where the first time in my career, like literally in 8 years, I called out of teaching the night before, which I've never done. Every time I've called out of teaching, it's been planned. Not talk without taking a deep breath. It was very bad. And this was the Tuesday before my race. So I was a little concerned.
Not great timing.
No, not great. And I did everything in my power to make sure that I felt well. And I trusted that those 5 days leading up to the race were going to be enough time to get me to a place where I could feel comfortable. And sure as shit, Sunday when I ran the marathon, my breathing was really the least of my concerns. It did not impact me at all. And I'm so grateful all the things I put into practice leading up to that day worked, including taking an extra unplanned rest day from running, and steroiding the crap out of myself. So with with all of that, legal steroids, for the asthma.
Not the Barry Bonds kind.
Correct. And the other thing that I did that I think I think it's important to note, like, so many of us, when we have a history of disordered eating or eating disorders, when it comes to nourishing our bodies when we're not feeling well, we put it on the back burner. And when I'm sick, I have to consciously do the opposite of that. So on top of like consciously being like, no, Amanda, even though you're not hungry and you're not focusing on what you need to eat, you need to eat. On top of that, I was entering a carb load. So I was like, no, not only do you need to focus on what you need to eat, like, you better reach for those raviolis. Do not play.
I'm big on drinking stuff too. Like when I'm sick, like, I will drink more calories than ever. So like, it's just that's my,
Well.
if I ever got sick race week, I would just drink orange juice and juices and whatever, smoothies. And, it's not ideal, but it's better than not eating because I'm probably not hungry. So yeah, I get that.
Totally. So I'm not somebody who obsessively tracks weather because I don't find it to be helpful, but I was, because
that weather. Oh.
I am a fair weather runner. If I'm not the person who's like, it doesn't matter what weather is outside, you go out there and run in the ice. No, I'm not going to be the one, because I run because I enjoy it. So I'm not big on putting myself in positions that I don't need to be in. That's the truth.
Yeah.
But I've ran in the rain. I've ran several long runs in the rain this cycle. So I know how to run in the rain. And I feel comfortable doing so. What I experienced on Sunday and what others experienced on Sunday was not something I would have actively put myself in. It was really cold for me and it to be raining. It did not let up. I also have Raynaud's, so I stopped feeling my hands. I had to ask 2 men around me to literally reach into the back pocket of my bra to put gels in my mouth, which if you're watching this on YouTube, I was able to take both hands, put them like this, and just rip it, and then just like go like this. I'm not exaggerating. That is how I got gels in my mouth. I went from a very strong PR to a very small one. And for me, it was not about pace at that point. It was about ending the misery. And is also a challenging course.
Those last 10K is quite miserable.
Miserable when you're walking.
Yeah.
Which I had to do. Pretty pissed about that. For me, walking is not a part of my running, so that, and walking in the rain, it's not a part of my joy.
No.
So we finished.
If it's nice out, it'd be okay.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
I'm not sure.
No.
Yes.
But you said you got a PR though still, right? Is that what I heard? Still?
By several seconds. It's
we don't discriminate against PRs, even if we have bigger goals.
We have bigger goals, but it's okay. It's okay.
We can have both.
Yes, we can have both, right? So, what happened after that was I was very, very proud of myself for finishing that race. And very proud, very happy. My father, unfortunately, I saw him one time, 8-mile mark. I never saw the man again because the tracking wasn't working.
Yeah.
And like some of our bibs, I think mine included, like weren't picking up. Like sometimes had to be adjusted. I'm not even gonna ask them to adjust my time. I don't care. I'm done with it. Because it was the first year that they had the tracker.
Yeah. I don't know if your dad has a iPhone or such, but like I've resorted to Find My Friends a lot for athletes and others because the trackers miserably fail. I'll never find people, but at least with that, you can see the dot coming your way.
He does have it. He did not know what he was doing with it.
Yeah, I understand. But like, yeah, at least for athletes, like, in New York City, like I'd rely on that versus like actually New York City's tracker is really good. Yeah, it is. Honestly, it's actually one of the best ones.
Yeah, New York City is really good. And my parents have spectated in New York City, so they were able to find me. Anyway, so shortly after I love when people ask me like, would I recommend things?
Would you recommend things?
Would I recommend the Steamtown Marathon? I will say that there are some things I really loved about it. I loved, and Nick knows this, the race director, Jim, and his emails are phenomenal. Hilarious.
We love
snarky. 10 out of 10.
We love communication too.
Yes,
so
it feels really special, like when he writes to us. The expo, also really convenient, very simple. They have there, which a lot of, apparently some ultras have it more so, they have their past race shirts that you can have and you just give a little donation. I loved that.
Oh, fun.
I loved that. So I got myself some cute clothing that I enjoyed. I would say that the scenery, Scranton, running that route, it was so beautiful. That area of northeastern Pennsylvania is so beautiful. The community, I'm guessing, would have been like the spectators. It would have been a greater amount had it not been such trash weather.
Yeah, I'm not coming out to cheer in that.
I wouldn't. And but I respected who was out there, and I thought it was really wonderful. I think it's the only race that's cited as having more volunteers than runners in it. So cool.
That's good.
Yeah. Now, as for the downsides, I would not run this race again.
Neither would that horn.
Oof. Course is like a bit of a lie, and not a bit of a lie, but like it's like some honesty when you look at the course on like Find My Marathon, etc. But it's definitely much worse. I would say it's much worse when it's raining and you're trying not to kill yourself going downhill. I would say that is, you have to sidestep that bad boy just to get down the hills of this race. I would say like the trail sections, I would not recommend running through when it's raining. Like that was something that I was a little concerned about, wiping out on a wet leaf. So it would be no for me.
It's a no from Amanda.
It's a no for me. And if you like it, Do you, baby boo? I will
Yeah.
never yuck your yum. Oh, the other pro, I will say, like, another like really wonderful thing, when you are done with the race, the post race party, they have so I mean, I think that I'm not big in the race scene, but I think that this is one of the best prepared food areas after
Ooh,
a race.
love that.
All
Wait,
kinds.
Wineglass has a good one too. Is this better than
Yeah, it
Wineglass?
was better than wine glass.
Ooh, now we're talking.
Yeah, like, you can sit down and have a meal, but you do not want to sit down for hours after hours after this race. You won't feel your quads for I'm still struggling, and that's not a thing for me. So here we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're not running 4 marathons in 6 weeks like the rest of Instagram?
Things that make my piss boil. When somebody says to me, "You just ran? Congratulations. Are you running New York City?" And I'm like, I think we need to stop underestimating, and we need
Yeah.
to start respecting the distance. And this is coming from somebody who trains several athletes who have, they weren't working with me previously, but they've signed up for back-to-back marathons and
To back.
back to back, right? Back to back
Yeah.
to back. And it is not something that I recommend. If
You
if
oh, go ahead.
performance is important to you, if your long-term health and recovery is important to you, I'm just going to put a period after that.
Did you see our previous guest Mario put a really good thing in his newsletter today talking about he's really good with words. He just talked about, and I'm
I'm just going to
you
read
you
it.
can join. Oh, that would be great. This is why you're
We're
the
doing
host.
really well. We're doing really well on
Yeah.
this
What a
unscripted episode.
what a host. She's gonna pull it up. Well, I'm just gonna add some airtime here by talking about that. You should subscribe to his newsletter because it's amazing and it definitely has a wealth of information.
Oh,
And
that's all
we're getting
that was the Running World article. Okay, hold on.
we're
Runner's
getting
World.
beats. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Oh, he also put on his Instagram, which I loved.
Yes.
So this is a
Yeah.
PSA for full marathoners and ultra runners everywhere. He says, it's okay, even advisable, to unplug from training after racing hard for a few or more hours, whether you hit your goal or not. Just because a couple of your favorite pros or Instagram influencers are doing ridiculous things within a week of finishing the same race you just did doesn't mean you should be too. I've seen some stupid shit on my Strava and social media feeds of late that my head hurts from shaking it so much. Who is everyone trying to impress, and or what are you trying to prove? Take some time to enjoy your accomplishment or even sit with your disappointment for a bit. Either way, it's okay and good for you to do, I promise. And while you're doing that, respect the recovery, not just allowing your body to bounce back from the physical pounding of the race itself, but paying it back the mental and emotional toll of going hard at a big goal, which includes months of accumulating effort and increased focus that went into it before you even set foot on the start line. I'm also gonna, and I'm just gonna skip to the end. You follow Mario if you're not already. However you do it, the main idea is to give your body a break and shut your brain off for a bit. The 1 to 2 weeks after a long race is time to rest, repair, and recharge, not crush workouts or slay long runs or chase the dragon because you're riding high from a recent PR, shit the bed last Sunday, and or have another race coming up in 6 weeks. To quote my Nana, who never ran so much as a mile, Nana and my dad, same, but knew a thing or two about playing the long game of life. Don't be afraid to work hard, but know when to take a rest. Otherwise, you won't last very long.
Yeah.
Period.
Nice. Period. So good. So I I put I liked his line about like why are you doing this, like what do you need in your life, who are you trying to prove. I think people just need, I think everyone would be a lot better if someone just told them, hey, you ran a marathon, that's great, I'm so proud of you. Like maybe give them a hug. Maybe people just need more hugs. I don't really know
Yeah.
what it is, but there is this this thing that keeps happening where, it always happens, but it's more now where it's like, oh, well, I'm going to sign up for 2 marathons because if one goes poorly, I'll just run the other. And they're always going to run both. And then like it's a revenge race or this and that. And like, or it's just like maybe they're getting a lot of people are getting race bibs through certain ways because there's a lot more contests now through social media. And they're like, oh, I can't pass up in this race. Oh, no, you can. You can absolutely not destroy your body by doing 2 marathons. The things people don't realize is like, yes, everyone recovers differently, and maybe physically your body like feels okay after a little bit, and you're like, oh, I could do this, maybe some miraculous way. But like, there's a mental toll on running a marathon, and like, all of a sudden, these people who do 4 marathons in a fall, and then next year we see they're not running anymore. Either they're injured, or they're burnt out, or they're just not enjoying it. Like this stuff, follows you around, and just because you think it does something for you, it doesn't. Like respect the distance, respect the recovery, recover, and then try again when you want to, but not forced into it.
I totally understand like taking advantage of opportunities when they come our way, saying yes more. I love that for us. But you said 4 marathons in a season. Even like we're seeing people do 4 marathons in a year. Like most people should not be doing more than one. Period. Like it is a huge toll on your body. And like Coach Nick said, and your mind. And there are the things, we have science to prove this. There are things that are happening to your body on a cellular level. So even you saying, I feel okay. Homegirl, how's your heart doing? Are you letting your lungs recover? Bones. What's going on with your bones, sis? Come on. Give you a break.
Yeah, I don't know. But you just gotta, like, there's many, if you want to run a race, you can run a different distance.
Yeah.
That's, maybe not just, maybe do other distances. That's perfectly fine. Like, you're not, I don't know. I just feel like people are just so, it's always the world majors, and they got to do them all, and they got to do them all at the same time. And they got to, like, and then we got to be there because Instagram, and then, pop on for all the hype around the race, and then your post will blow up. And there's all that too, I'm sure people are dealing with. But like, your body is one body. You have one body the whole life. Like, you can have multiple Instagram accounts. You can, but you only still get one body. I know, but but you only get one body. So why don't we take care of that one, and maybe run that race the following year, and that'd be great. Anyway, but we, Amanda, here at Between Two Coaches, are super proud of you and your PR and finishing your race and overcoming all that stuff, because actually it's harder to finish when all that stuff goes bad, because it's easier just to be like, nah, I'm done. It's raining. I'm walking, deuces. But you said, nah, I'm not done. I'm not stopping, and I'm going to finish this shit.
Hell yes.
Hell yes. Kudos to you. Yeah, I ran a race too, a little different scenario. Well, I went to Chicago too, which was a blast.
Yes,
we could talk about that, but
there was a Steamtown in Chicago were the same day. So
same day.
Nick, how many athletes did you have at Chicago?
9.
It's crazy.
So I did a fun little shakeout. So for me, I like to get to at least one big race. If I have a lot of athletes at a race, like as long as I can, I'll try. I want to be there. It's fun to meet athletes for the first time in this virtual world. It's fun to be there, experience the races. I love Chicago, so it sort of helps that it was Chicago this year. But we did a little shakeout before the run. I got in the course and I saw almost all of them in the race, which was new for me because sometimes I see none of them and I'm like, I'm failing at this. But like, I got all their outfits, and I had, friend of the podcast, Ruth, was there, and she was helping me notice people as I was showing them their outfits. So we had fun cheering, fun spectating. I hosted a little get together post race for all my athletes, and like we could celebrate and commiserate. And I thought that was like an extra fun, vibe for everyone to like just, all my athletes got to meet each other who were there, and like their significant others were there. We were just having dinner and talking about the race, and they were planning future races because that's what you do after you finish a race. And it was just fun. It was a fun experience. It was fun to be there. I love the atmosphere of Chicago. A fun day. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad I went.
That's awesome. And then, so now tell us about, you had a half this weekend.
I did.
And
I would always
really your inspo in that outfit.
Yeah. I would always recommend that you grab one of your friends, friend of the podcast, Jackie from Baltimore, and you grab your friend, you grab a matching outfit, and you go run a half marathon together because the vibes are immaculate. We
I'm gonna have to
set
do
out.
this.
She just had her fourth kid, and she was like, ready to try and run again. And she was like, "Do you want to run with me?" And I was like, "Absolutely." Do I want to run with you? And so we then immediately, because that's what you do, you start planning. Okay, well, what should we wear? What should we match? How should we do it? And there was a point where she found this outfit with some chicken legs, and it was a full ghost outfit. But we were just gonna buy the shorts, and I was like, "No, we should get the whole thing." And she's like, "I don't know, that seems like a lot." And then immediately we were like, "No, we're doing it." And I'm glad we did and didn't just get the shorts because it would not have been the same. And so a couple things happened. So I've never run Baltimore half, but I've literally spectated every year. I've done the relay like 6 times. I one year did the entire relay and did the marathon as part of the whatever weird stuff. But I've enjoyed it. So I've seen most of the race, and I always like cheering. It's a fun day in the city. Yes, I call Baltimore the city. New York people get very upset with me from being from New Jersey. I know, but
New York
I
people
know,
who
but
get upset that's ridiculous. I'm unfazed by what you just said, and I'm literally
yeah, I know. But I've heard it a lot where like people like that's New York's the city. Anyway, so
it's your
I know. It's yes, exactly. Yeah, so a lot of things happened. So my kids came down, and my wife brought them down. So I'll talk about that. But I also was trying to make this a 21 mile long run, as I mentioned earlier. I wanted to get in a long run before the race, but I had to do it in a little weird way so I started my run and I'll talk about fueling a little, but I started my run at 7:45, and the race starts at 9:45 because I don't know why that's really weird to start a half marathon at almost 10 a.m. But they do. So the marathon starts at 8, and then they have a 10K and a 5K. So I think
street closures.
It could, and maybe they're trying to get people out of the way. There's a lot of logistics they're figuring out, but it's still a weird late start time. But it's not usually as warm as it is in here this time of year. But so I started my run. I did like 7 miles, 8 miles. I picked up my friend, and then we did a little jog to the start line, which started an hour later. She didn't want to run nearly as far as I did, so sort of a little break there in time. I did about 2 miles of walk running for that hour between 8:45 and 9:45, and then started up at 9:45, did our half marathon, and finished with 21 miles per day. But it was about 3 hours and 45 minutes of time since I started.
Right.
So
for those listening, that is slower than Nick's normal long run pace.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So if I did a long run, normally it'd probably be like under 3 hours for 21 miles, maybe like 2.5, somewhere in that ballpark. And so I knew this going in that I needed to but the mistake I didn't make was fueling for doing 21 miles and just doing the math in my head and being like, okay, well, Amanda wants to talk.
No, I'm loving it. I don't want to talk. I'm shaking my fingers saying, yeah.
So, I really thought about this, and I said, okay, if I was running 21 miles, I would take, I take an SIS, I rotate SIS beta gels, Morton 160 gels because they're my high carb gels, and then I like Precision Fuel. I've been rotating in just for variety. And then so if I was normally doing it for 2.5 hours, it'd be like a gel every 30 minutes is about where I vibe, my body can handle. I don't necessarily need, I don't know if I need that much, but it just works for me, so I do. It's a nice timing. And then so but I said, oh, I'm gonna do this for 3 hours and 45 minutes. So I ended up taking 260 grams of carbs for 4 hours for 21 miles, but for almost 4 hours from the time I started my run till when I ended, because I was really envisioning, hey, there's going to be an hour in the middle where my body has already started exercising. I'm not replenishing anything back. I'm not going to eat a bagel or a sandwich in the middle and get all. So I'm it's just because I have more running. So I just took, I just kept intaking it was normally a run. I still took it every 30 minutes during that time and just kept the same thing going. I felt really strong. Sometimes I would teeter out late in the long run if I didn't feel right, or I think I would have probably died pretty bad in this one if I didn't, but got in a lot, and that was fun. And so we started the race, and we started, I thought I started at a decent spot. It was very crowded. I think they have like 10,000 people do the half, and it starts on this really small street, and then and then the starting line is like even smaller, cuts off some of the street because it's got that balloon thing. So then we're all on the street, but then we have to sort of carve in to get into the middle of the start line, and then we get our street back. So we were very crammed for the first couple miles, but we were having fun. Saw a lot of friends out there. I saw my kids. My kids were at mile almost 3, and they were super excited to see me. Chloe made some amazing signs. You can see on my Instagram. I don't know how she has her artistic talent because I have none. But I ran over and I gave them a hug. And this is something that I've done the last 2 times I've run a race and they've been there. And old Nick would never. Like I'd see friends, I'd sort of ignore them. I'd be focused so on the task at hand, and now I'm just like, these kids, they're here, they want to see me. Like it brings them such joy, and so I'm every time I see them, I don't even care where I'm at in my race. I'm going to stop and give my kids a hug because it's important to all of us. And so that was fun. So the vibes, you could see our costumes, and maybe it'll be on Instagram, but maybe I'll find a different way to share it. But yeah, it was a full-on orange ghost outfit, and from the very start, all we heard is like people being like, "Oh, hey, look at those ghosts!" or "Great Halloween costumes," or people shouting "boo" at us, or someone screamed at us, "Way to go, boo boo," which was my favorite the whole time. I laughed so loud. But like passing people in the race, like talking about Halloween, talking about costumes. It was just not costumes, but it was just an outfit, but like loving it. Like I've never gotten more cheers in my life for a race than just wearing a full top to bottom ghost outfit. And so it was great. Baltimore is, if you haven't done it, is a relatively pretty hilly course. I think it's like 800 feet of elevation over 13 miles. A lot of it is in the first half, so you basically just climb. But very fun. We had great time. We finished. I was hyping. A lot of photos of me hyping up the crowd at the end, doing my Hulk Hogan ear, can't hear you, raising the roof, whatever it took. There's a lot of silly photos people have sent me of me just hamming it up at the finish, but we had a really great time. The vibes were, like I said, immaculate. The way getting in 21, I don't think I would have probably done it by myself. So having a race and a friend just made it so much more fun. Just a great time. I had so much, such a joy-filled day.
I have like secondhand joy for you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't usually do that for races, but this was like
Amazing.
so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna probably con Trek or Vicky into doing that with me.
Yeah, you should. I'm trying to find a half for them already, so we'll con you into it too.
Yeah, loop me into the conning.
Yeah, but yeah, it's I think you can. Fun way to do a long run at a race, like fun way to plan it around life. Bring your family, bring your friends, and just have amazing vibes. Like it gave me, like I said earlier, it gave me a lot of confidence for Indy, just to be able to run with my friend that we're gonna run with, and yeah, it'll be good.
Good.
I'm very excited for that race, but just excited for having a great fun time. I think I say it all the time. Community, I talked about it in Chicago. I talked about it here. Community is like the most important thing for me as a runner. The times are great. Like, I'll tell someone later on my life what I ran, and they'll be like, "Wow!" But they'll be like, "Wow, that I even ran." Period. Most people, so it won't be any more impressive and whatever the number is. But I'll tell them about, like, I'll remember these memories. I'll remember the joyful races with friends, or this ghost half marathon. We went out that night, and random people at the bar were talking about, there were some ghosts out there on the course today, and we're like, that was us. Just like my friend said, she overheard at brunch people talking about the ghost on the course. So like it was like a very big topic. It was just funny that people were like, you guys were the ghosts, not even knowing us. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, community, right? Like Baltimore community really has been my family since I moved to Maryland, right? Yeah, I don't know how you meet. I'm not the most social. I don't know how to meet people. So, when I moved to Maryland and I was 30, like I was like, how do I meet friends? running. Running has been that way. So many people I saw in the course that have become friends with just because I ran, right? And people who are part of my life and, meaningful ways because I run, and like, what I do with my athletes, like I'm trying to create a community that's not about me. It's about all of them, right? That's community, right? Like I think where people get community wrong is when they make it about themselves and they're like, oh, this is my community about me. And it's like, okay, but it's not really a community. It's just you, and everyone sort of is here because of you. Like community is creating something that transcends you, that isn't about you, right?
Mm.
Like my athletes being friends, like have
Take
nothing to
us
do
to
with me.
church, Nick. Take us to
Like,
church.
like one day if they don't work with me and they still be best friends, like that is amazing to me. That's all that matters. Like if because I've set something up in place that allows people to connect and become friends,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter to me. I am setting something up for others, and that's what community is about. That's what the Baltimore running community or any city's community is about. It's about people who meet people, become friends because they share a passion, and it's bigger than them, right? So, like I said, the community I create, my athletes, I love the running community here, Maryland. I love social media's running community. When it's a bigger than yourself, when it's about all of you sharing things, sharing your passions, connecting, that's when community's right. When it's like, here's my run club and it's named after me, and everyone show up here to take photos with me. It's not really a run club. It's not really a community. That's just someone,
Yeah.
you're here to almost kiss their ring. So
I feel very similarly about, there are a lot of parallels I can draw to, yes, the running community, but also group fitness. There are a lot of
yeah,
instructors that I find are in it because they think it's about them, and they go to the front of the room just like any coach, any trainer, any individual with an ego, and it's about the performance and it's about them. And that's not the way. It is not about you. It is about the people in that room, and it is about you providing an experience that they can feel at home when they are in that space with you. And that's what you provided for your athletes, and what you continue to provide even when you were outside of Chicago. We got uh, New York City next.
yeah, it's gonna be a good one. I wanted to come up, but I'm not gonna make it. So
That's all good. I'll hold down the fort.
yeah, that'll be good. Make sure just FaceTime me in at times. I'll join in. I'll be like, I'm here cheering.
Yes, I will
You're not gonna do
definitely.
that.
Yeah, I won't be doing that. I won't.
Yeah, I figured.
I'm not going to do
Okay.
that. But it's gonna be. That's gonna be a time. It's very over. There's nothing better, in my opinion. I know that there are clearly people who disagree because they sign up for back to back to back marathons, but I think the best way to do a marathon like New York City is to spectate it.
I loved it last year.
It's the best.
I tried to do it this year. I did not get in because the guaranteed entry program was nuts, to say the least. And then the lottery was not friendly to anyone, really. Maybe like 8 people there's spots for, I felt like. So
The lottery
yeah.
stuff. It's a great one to run. It's a great run. I don't know that I need to. I don't say never, but like there are just some things I just don't need to do again, and I don't need to spend 7 hours on Staten Island before my race again. So, but I will be cheering on all those who will be doing that, and anyone in the future. I will be. I can confirm that, I guess, closer to the race, aka next week.
Ooh, save that for next week. Spoilers. We're gonna find out where Amanda's gonna be, so you can look for her.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, it sounds like we had some fun races, and we did them.
I don't know if
Well,
you were
we did
listening to
them.
me. Oh yeah, okay, got it.
I zoned out for the whole time, but I'm
I
here
blacked
now.
out too. I blacked out during that. I suppressed the entire experience. It was like, okay, what's going on? You couldn't take up like indoor pickleball. This is what you had to do with your life. Okay, yeah.
I sometimes think of that when I was in high school and I watched other sports play, like soccer and other sports, and I'm like, oh, they run for a little bit and then they stand around. I'm like, but my sport, we never stop running. And like, sometimes your meets would be around other sports and you'd like be running still, then you'd watch like a soccer player chase a ball and then you'd stand around and then you'd still be running and you come back around the field again for lap two and they're still, and you're like, not that soccer players, I mean, they run like sometimes 10 miles in a game, but like, still, it's just like, it feels like we're in this sport where like we just keep running forever and like there's never a break until you get to the finish line.
Running from Nick?
Yeah.
What are you running from?
But yeah, it was fun. I really definitely I'd recommend Baltimore if you are here. I don't know if I'd recommend you traveling across the country to run Baltimore.
Oh.
But it's like a local feeling race. But like if you're in Maryland, around surrounding states, it's great to come down and do it. It's a great vibe. And the medals are cool. If you didn't see it, it opens up. It's a crab and it opens up and there's more inside.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Although it has super sharp edges this year, and it's definitely a safety hazard to any children.
Plane, probably.
I don't think you probably could either. It was like, yeah, it was definitely. I was getting stabbed with mine a bit. Oh my! But it's a cool medal. Dangerous. It just like maybe tone down the sharp points.
That feels like 2 race recap no's for anyone listening. No's for you, but you know what? All races have lessons for us. Did we know we need our lessons in our races? I'll speak for myself. No. Did we want to, did I want to learn that lesson? No. Did I need to learn that lesson? Also, maybe no. But Am I a better runner and run coach because of the to blah experiences, runs, races? Of course I am. And to that, I say, okay.
And I think like the other thing I love reminding myself about races is at the end of the day, like make sure you take some time to enjoy the experience, right? Like make sure if anyone with a race coming up, take some time to be proud of all your training before the race starts. And then, make sure you enjoy the memories that will exist that have nothing to do with the clock and the memories that like, you talked about when you shared your recap, like with your dad and, with family or friends, like celebrate that stuff. Obviously don't like do 10,000 activities, then run your marathon and wonder why your legs are sore. But like the memories you can make with people that aren't just that, but just being there and having fun and like all the memories in the race leading up to, that's the stuff you're literally going to remember forever. Mm-hmm. Like long past any PRs or anything, you're going to remember these times with running friends, with family. Like cherish those. Don't let a bad, because if you let a bad race get to you, all of a sudden then everything about it like becomes bad. And then all of a sudden you're disliking running because you put so much into it. If we're putting a lot into it to chase our goals, but like if we can also see the meaningful moments that exist that mean so much to us, then it's sort of, even when the race doesn't go according to plan, it can sort of still show up in our lives in a great way,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are a lot of, and I know folks listening to this, if you are not a runner, you probably tuned out, but I will say, like, there are certainly, as somebody who's not a lifelong runner, but who engaged in fitness a little later in life, including strength training and things that weren't strength training, like step aerobics and Zumba and what have you. If you rely on the external validation, the aesthetics, the finishing times to be your why, be in this for the long game. So that is what we want you to take away from what we have to say about expanding your definition of being proud.
Yeah. Well spoken. I was going to say that. We did do it.
Well, we're not scripted today, so I had to say it. I wasn't sure. Well, we want to thank everyone for joining us. Next week, we have a spooky episode.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us today, though. Okay. And then make sure you're coming back next week. We hope that you enjoyed this episode and you know how to find us, myself, Nick on Instagram, me, Amanda on Instagram. You can reach out to us at betweentwocoaches@gmail.com. And if you enjoy this episode, share it with a friend. Leave us a review. 5 stars to be exact. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.